Greetings, everybody. It is I, Noah, and I have returned with a new update for the day of what I have done. Let's go through it. Well, I woke up at around 7:30. I was woken up by my mother because she prepared a berry protein shake for me to try out. But here's the thing. The berry protein shake had a health laxative in it. Now, she did not put this in for any nefarious reason, obviously. It was simply because it was a healthy supplement she believed would help both of us. So, when it hit, I'm not sure if I appreciated it, but afterwards, I guess I could say I'm glad I was cleaned out. Sorry for the details. Well, anyways, moving along. I took it upon myself to look up how the new tariffs enacted were affecting the stock market. It appears things aren't looking too good. And so I asked ChatGPT's deep think mode, theoretically, what would happen if, say, someone were to invest in ETFs, and what would be the outcome from these tariffs. Now, the good news that I got was that apparently it would be extremely difficult for ETFs to hit a value of 0, because since the existence of ETFs is to have money invested in multiple different manufacturing operations, it would practically have to mean the end of civilization and America as we know it in order for the performance to hit $0. So that was reassuring, I guess. However, the thing is, apparently this is coming from ChatGPT, if these tariffs continue to exist, it will cause trade wars, which will cause significant issues in the economy, and stock prices will have a rocky, bumpy road ahead, and value will continue to fall. So that's a little spooky, but at least it's nice to know that if one were to invest in ETFs, their money they invested wouldn't drop down to 0, but would simply stabilize to a lower than liked number. And they'd have to bear out the brunt of the low number for a while until eventually, hopefully, things either stabilize, recover, adapt, or new policies are enacted that cause things to go back in the up and up. So it's going to be a while to see what the long-term effects of these tariffs will be, but I am definitely going to be along for the ride. Now, after doing that deep research, it dawned on me that perhaps I should do some laundry. So I put all of my clothes, including work clothes that I wear to work that hadn't been washed in about 4 days, in the washer, and while it was getting washed, I was watching the latest video from Digital Foundry about a new Xbox game that just came out that had a stop-motion Spider-Verse-esque looking aesthetic, and it looked pretty cool, not going to lie. But since it's only available on PC and Xbox platforms, I would have to get it on the PC if I wanted to play it. But the problem is that I use my PC for video editing or video production. And so I would rather conserve the data space on my PC for that intent. And so it would appear that I guess that won't be on the cards for me. Now, afterwards, I suddenly got interested in perhaps what it would be like to craft a schedule for someone who has a really inconsistent schedule week by week. You see, as a courtesy clerk, I don't have the consistency that many other jobs have. So instead of Monday through Friday and then weekends off, and then you work 9 to 5 on the days you work, instead, some weeks you get the full 40 hours, but maybe your day off is the Tuesday and Wednesday, or maybe it's Sunday and Monday. It's completely random. I've been trying to create a schedule for myself and a way of getting myself together in terms of how I can spend my time most efficiently, effectively, and full of rejuvenation, energy, excitement, and purpose. The thing, though, is that the inconsistency this schedule definitely brings an unpredictability towards each week. And because of this, when I start working on perhaps a daily schedule, due to the alternating schedules per week, it causes me to get overwhelmed and then lose interest and then seep back into comfortable habits like watching YouTube videos or playing video games. Now, I have to be honest, I'm 26 years old right now at the time of recording, and I'm not getting any younger. You're practically breaching your 30s at this point. You're not there yet. You still have a full college term or presidential term left before you hit your 30s, but the truth is I am not getting any younger. And if I don't take advantage of my time, then I'm going to very much regret it in the future. And there will be one day when I'll wake up and I'll be like 32, 33, 34, 35, and then I'll ask myself, what the heck were you doing when you were young and spunky? Why didn't you use that energy to pursue your passions in life so you could do something that you can't wait to wake up and do every morning? Now, that's not to say that the job I'm currently doing is bad or that I dislike it. In fact, there are elements that I very much do enjoy. I enjoy interacting with customers. I enjoy helping customers with their carts or helping customers who are a bit older and need more help bring their groceries out and carry them into their vehicle or car, or deliver groceries to customers who are waiting outside for the food to be put in their vehicle. I also very much enjoy interacting with a lot of my coworkers as well. So there's plenty to love about my job. But the thing is, you know how you know you're meant for more, but you keep on falling back into regressive habits that keep you pinned down doing the same thing day in, day out. That's where I'm at right now. And I really need to get into the mindset that, is this really what I want to be doing with the rest of my life? And that's why I asked ChatGPT for help to see if there was some way to craft a schedule that was adherent to the alternating revolving schedule each and every single week. And basically what it suggested was that as soon as you get your new schedule in, it would be a good idea to take 3 broad tasks that you know you're going to do for the day. So for example, one is you're going to go to work. One is you're going to do a chore or something that must get done. And the third is the thing you must do if you want to build the future you seek, which in my case is to become a video editor, a storyteller, animator, an artist, essentially a modern day Renaissance man. And the thing is that despite wanting this, it would seem that I don't want it badly enough, because I continue to push my dreams away because it's too much work, or I'm not feeling it like it, or I prefer staying an extra hour or two in my bed. Things like that. And, this was fine when I was much younger and didn't have to worry about responsibilities or not getting things done. But now that I'm practically a grown man, an adult, and I currently am pretty much at the height of my faculties to get these things done, and I'm choosing deliberately not to do them, is not good at all. I'm on a time limit. I'm running out of time. And I need to realize this, and that's why I record these, to build that self-awareness in my head. So that's what I'm hoping for, and that's what I'm going to do. Now, let's move on. After consulting with ChatGPT about this, crafting a schedule that's tailored toward my revolving week schedules, for which it said, instead of creating rigid time periods that add more stress and uncertainty to your mind, it would be best to simply just have a block of time, say, this is my creative time, and then let yourself come to the conclusions of what you need to do to achieve that creative time that will push you into a direction that you're more favorable. And apparently, I need to keep things novel for myself if I want to have any chance of keeping this interesting enough for me to continue. And that's the thing. I can lose interest fairly quickly. Like, I start something and it seems like it's great at first and it's really pushing me forward, but then I miss a day, and then I miss another day and another day until I'm back doing the same thing again. It's like I have this all or nothing attitude in my brain where if I miss a day, then I might as well quit because I'm not good enough. Which is stupid and silly, but that's sadly where my brain defaults to when I don't do what I say I'm going to do. It's very concerning. It shows I need to be more adaptable. I need to be more forward thinking instead of stuck in the now or create barriers in my mind. Yeah. Anyways, let's just move on from that. I drove to work today. When I got to work, I had a good positive attitude. And yeah, the first hour was spent bagging, I believe, being nice and friendly to the customers. I can't really think of any customer stories to mention, so I'm going to not mention anything here. Then I did an hour of lot, and after that hour of lot, decided to take my break. Now the thing is, on my break, I grabbed my water canteen, I refilled it at the nearest restaurant that gives you free water, and I went back to my job's break room. I was drinking the water, and when I finished drinking my water, rehydrating after doing that hour of carting, I looked at the suggestions ChatGPT generated, which I shared a few already, so we're not going to get into that right now. Afterwards, I went back down. It was an hour of bagging and then another hour of carts. Although the thing was, I didn't know I needed to do carts for the first 15 to 20 minutes until eventually I was told by one of the CSRs, which was a bit of a problem, but luckily I was able to get the problem under control. Now, during my job outside pushing carts, there was an interesting character who came up to me, and this character, they lent me some films to watch, and they told me about how I need to see these films. And the thing was, I'm feeling a little pretty bad about it because they gave me these movies like, I think back in November, sometime in November, I believe. Yeah, mid-November. And it's currently 5 months in the future. I've actually gone through some of these movies, but there's one more I have to get through, that I said I was going to get through. But it was interesting behavior from this character, this person, who asked, did I remember that scene, and described the scene and how it went, and continuously asked if I remember it. And I gotta be honest, I did watch the film that this person was talking about, and I said, it was an alright film, but I have to be honest, it was a bit slow for me, and I had difficulty really getting in tune with it, but I appreciated what it was trying to do. But the way this person was telling me, do you remember that scene? Do you continuously repeating that again and again made me think, what, do they think I didn't watch the film and that I'm just simply paying lip service and they're trying to interrogate me to make sure I actually remember specific details? It's like, I just watched it once just because you lent it to me and you wanted me to watch it, and I watched it, and I only watched it once, and I sat through it from beginning to end, and I attempted to put my focus into it, and I wasn't on my phone. I didn't have my phone near me. I just tried to focus on the movie. But when you're on your first watch, you don't really pay attention to any subtle details or all that stuff. And I've got to be honest, the movie was very dry, very documentary-like, and it made it difficult for me to really get deep into it, because I guess I'm more into dramatic ways of storytelling and less factual and realistic documentary ways of storytelling. And because of that, my brain must have missed some of the more subtle aspects, and I guess I didn't notice what the person was telling me about, and because of that, I don't know, it felt kind of weird. It just felt a little weird because I didn't have to watch this. I watched it because you gave it to me, and I kind of felt a bit obligated to, because like, I've been hanging on to these DVDs for a while now, and I gotta be honest, I feel a little like awkward about I should just finish it, as soon as I can, what I have. I've just been putting it off because, life gets in the way and things get busy and, all this stuff. And then sometimes I just get caught in like little rabbit holes or things that, capture my interest more. And then I end up putting it off. And, that's really all I can say about it. But yeah. But anyways, luckily one of the cashiers came up and said, "Hey, you didn't do law for 20 minutes. And now you're talking to this guy and you really need to finish your law." And I was like, okay. And he said, "All right, I'll talk to you later." And so the person left, and, even though, I like to be polite and I like to give anyone who talks to me the respect of listening and to communicating back, I did feel a little strange about that whole interaction. It did feel a little strange to me. I guess it makes sense because I've been hanging on to these DVDs for way longer than I really should have, and maybe the person who lent it to me is getting very anxious, and I just need to get on that as soon as I can. I just need to finish them. But I did feel a bit frazzled and uncomfortable from that whole situation, I'm not gonna lie. Anyways, let's move on. After the hour of carts was up, I drove back home and I reheated pizza that we had from last night's dinner on the pan. This is a really cool method. You preheat the pan with the cover on. You have the heat and air build up. Then you put a little water and create steam. Then you put the pizza in. After the steam's built up, you have the pizza sit in that preheated, steamed up pan for about 4 minutes, and the moisture from the steam re-moisturizes the bread so it's not hard and chewy, and instead is soft and fluffy, and the bottom of the crust is a perfect like cracker like crispiness, and the cheese is perfectly remelted, and it's a really good way of reheating a pizza. I really recommend the pan method, honestly. Pan steam method. Yeah, that was good. And I had the last of the vanilla ice cream as dessert. I was doing all this while listening to a brand new Timmy and Jimmy video. What was it about? That's a great question. I think it was about Tim and Eric's $1 billion movie. It was a review of that. It was like a group podcast review where a bunch of friends were talking about it. And they were, talking about what they liked about it. Then they moved on to the next movie that the people who subscribe to them get to vote on to review next. So that was fun. Afterwards, drove back to work, punched back in, and during that time, I bagged for a bit. And then the second hour, here's the funny thing. I have delivery duty I share with other courtesy clerks. One of the courtesy clerks also had delivery duty as well, but I needed to be out lot on my second hour of my second half of work. And the thing was, I was expected to take out the groceries for various customers at work who arrived to pick up their groceries through our delivery system. And, I should have asked for assistance from the other courtesy clerk who was there at the time, who could have taken the orders out, so that way I could focus on pushing the carts in. But I was already in the midst of it, so I thought, well, I might as well. And I did. But it did create some, I guess, stress and maybe a little bit of tension because, I'm doing this thing and I know I need to do something else, but I have to get this done. And there was like order after order. And by the time I was done, it was like 15 minutes. And it wasn't a big deal because 15 minutes isn't that much, especially on a slower day that was like today. And the carts weren't absolutely crazy, but just something to note, I guess you could say. After that whole situation was done, I spent time pushing carts away and while singing to myself, sang various little tunes in my head. What tunes they were, video's gone long enough, so I'm not gonna repeat them here. Now, afterwards, it was time on my last break, but before I could, someone else was already on their break, so I had to wait 10 minutes. And so I waited through the 10 minutes by wiping check stands down and doing go-backs. Once they arrived back, I decided to take my 10-minute break, and I spent it doing breathing exercises to help I gotta be honest, I was still a bit frazzled and anxious and uncomfortable from that whole thing about that movie situation. So I was doing some breathing exercises to kind of calm myself down and, keep a level head, I guess. Then after my 10-minute break was up, I went downstairs, but there was a lady and her family who was looking for smoked salmon, and I tried to guide her to where I believed it was, which was where we keep the fish in the refrigerated section next to the meat department, but it wasn't there. I tried to go where we keep other refrigerated meat. It wasn't there either. I asked the head of meat department if he knew where we keep smoked salmon, and he directed her promptly, so that was good. But I had my name call on the intercom, so that meant that I had to run my way there, and I told them exactly what happened. They said, okay, it's fine. And then they wanted me to do samples, so I did samples for about an hour. I was sampling corned beef, and usually when I do samples like that, I like listening to the music and maybe like do a little standstill jig or just a subtle dance, kind of something to stimulate myself while I'm waiting for presenting the meats or whatever I'm sampling, to kind of keep me engaged in some way, so I'm not just standing there doing nothing, and maybe I'll look more inviting, I guess. After that was done, it was time to bag once more for the final hour. One of my cashier friends said something really weird. He was basically talking about a bunch of weird, twisted stories that he encountered. Some of this stuff's too whacked up for me to say. You have some interesting conversations with coworkers, that's for sure. One thing that I guess I could say is that, actually, never mind, some of it might be too whacked up. Maybe I'll share one. There was 4 brothers. One of them had mental issues, schizophrenia, and instead of the 3 other brothers taking their mentally unstable brother to a mental ward so they could be taken care of properly, they did something evil, vile, and twisted. They tied their mentally ill relative to a bed and led him there to rot and die of starvation and dehydration. Yeah, that was the story that I was told by one of my cashier coworkers. I'm like, gosh dang, man, that's some twisted, messed up stuff, huh? And they were like, yeah, I know, right? I got it from this app that I have or something on my phone. And I was like, dang, that's crazy. Yeah, that keeps the day interesting, I guess, but it's kind of sad stuff like that happens in this world, Now, cool thing happened at the end of my workday, and that's that a customer got an ice cream, Ben & Jerry's fish food ice cream. And don't worry, it's not literal fish in the ice cream, it's chocolate pieces shaped like fish in the ice cream. And customer actually bought me the ice cream and gave me the receipt and allowed me to pick one up for myself. I even told my manager, and he said it was fine, and that's what I did. Hey, who doesn't love free ice cream, right? I mean, that was very generous of him. Very thankful for that, for sure. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Then I got home. When I got home, I had pozole and a biscuit from a leftover biscuit from KFC that our family friend brought over. Then my mom wanted me to watch a video about 2 Scottish giants, real life giants, who are the 2 strongest men in the world. And basically, she told me she sent that to a relative, and because they reminded her of them. So that's pretty cool. Then me and my family friend decided we would finish watching this film called Alita Battle Angel. So we did the last 50 minutes. I gotta be honest, the last 50 minutes were pretty cool, pretty interesting. Definitely better than the middle part. The beginning was kind of neat, but I gotta be honest, the middle part for me started to drag and I was getting kind of bored. But then at the end, it actually started to get cool and exciting and interesting again. And so, yeah, really fun watch. Then my mom wanted to watch the show called Severance. We've been going through the season 1, and we finally got to the last episode. And I gotta say, the way it ends is pretty gosh dang interesting. I'm definitely compelled to see how they push this series forward. They apparently made a 2nd season, and I definitely will be looking forward to that when we get around to watching it. So, very exciting. Then we each I decided to watch a whole bunch of different videos, mainly videos having to do with AI video production, how far the technology is coming along, and boy, is it interesting to watch, like seeing something that like couldn't even generate Will Smith eating spaghetti properly, and now we're getting like coherent like videos that look like they could genuinely be used for like film or video or editing projects. It's crazy. I mean, it's not perfect yet. Like you can tell it's AI still if you look know where to look, but it's starting to get so good that it's starting to become indistinguishable from reality, and it does start to make me wonder, boy, are like stock photos going to be out of the job? Are stock videos going to be out of the job? Are like, yeah, it's looking more and more likely as time goes on. It's crazy. And this is all in the span of 1 year, so it's going to be crazy to see where things get pushed to in the near future. Then I decided to record this update video. So that's pretty much it. Thanks for tuning in. Thank you for watching. Appreciate it. And goodbye, everybody. Have yourselves a great night, or morning, or evening, whatever time you're watching this. I'll see you in the next one. Bye, everybody.